The rain fell in rhythmic drops against the glass of the small bus stop shelter, creating a soft, steady soundtrack to an otherwise quiet evening. The city streets glistened under dim streetlights, reflections shimmering like liquid gold across the puddled asphalt. The usual bustle was subdued, with most people having already found refuge from the sudden downpour. The scent of wet pavement mixed with the faint aroma of distant coffee shops, creating an oddly comforting ambience. Amelia pulled her coat tighter around herself, the dampness creeping into her bones despite the thin barrier of fabric. She glanced at her watch, 7:43 p.m. The bus was late. Again. She exhaled, her breath forming faint mist in the chilly evening air, and leaned against the cool glass of the shelter. The world outside was blurred by streaks of rain, streetlights casting halos in the misty darkness. Just as she resigned herself to the solitude of the rainy evening, the sound of hurried footsteps broke through the rhythmic patter. A man dashed toward the shelter, his umbrella flipping uselessly in the wind before he finally gave up, letting the rain soak him. His dark hair was plastered to his forehead, his coat clinging to him like a second skin. He stumbled slightly as he reached the small awning, shaking out his umbrella with an exasperated laugh. Amelia couldn't help but smile slightly at his disheveled state. "Well," he said, catching his breath, "guess I lost that battle." Amelia chuckled softly, her voice blending with the rain. "Seems like the rain always wins." He grinned, his eyes crinkling at the corners. There was a warmth to his expression that contrasted sharply with the cold drizzle around them. True enough. They stood in companionable silence for a few moments, the only sounds the rain and the occasional distant car splashing through puddles. The city felt quieter in the rain, as if it too had paused to listen. Then, as if pulled by an invisible thread, they began to talk. It started with simple things, comments about the weather, complaints about the unreliable bus schedule, the small annoyances of city life. But as the rain continued, so did their conversation, weaving through stories of travel, favorite books, fleeting dreams, and quiet regrets. His name was Leo. He worked in graphic design, had a passion for old movies, and an inexplicable fondness for collecting vintage postcards from places he'd never been. Amelia found herself laughing more than she had in weeks, her heart light despite the dreary weather. She told him about her love for photography, how she often wandered the city capturing unnoticed moments, raindrops on window panes, forgotten bicycles leaning against rusted fences, reflections in puddles. Eventually, the bus arrived, its headlights cutting through the misty darkness. They hesitated, reluctant to end the unexpected connection. Leo glanced at Amelia, a playful glint in his eyes. "You know, if I believed in fate, I'd say it sent this rain just so we'd meet." Amelia smiled, feeling warmth bloom in her chest. Maybe it did. They boarded the bus together, their conversation continuing as the city lights blurred past the rain-streaked windows. The world outside faded, leaving only the space they shared, filled with words and laughter. Over the next few weeks, Amelia and Leo's paths continued to cross, as if the universe had decided that their meeting at the bus stop was only the beginning. They found themselves sharing morning commutes, exchanging smiles that grew more familiar with each encounter. Sometimes they met by chance, other times they both pretended it was coincidence. One crisp Saturday afternoon, Leo invited Amelia to an art exhibit at a small gallery tucked away in a quiet part of the city. The walls were adorned with bold, abstract pieces, vibrant colors dancing in chaotic harmony. They wandered from room to room, discussing interpretations, their voices low and thoughtful. Leo paused in front of a large canvas splashed with shades of blue and gray. "This reminds me of that night we met," he said softly. The rain, the reflections, the way everything felt blurred but beautiful. Amelia nodded, her heart skipping. It's strange how something as simple as rain can change everything. As days turned into months, their connection deepened. They explored hidden corners of the city, shared countless cups of coffee, and discovered the comfort of silent companionship. Their lives intertwined seamlessly, like pages of a well-loved book. Yet, amidst the growing closeness, Amelia felt a lingering hesitation. She had built walls around her heart, remnants of past heartbreaks that whispered caution. But Leo's presence was like the rain, persistent, gentle, and impossible to ignore. One evening, as they sat on a park bench overlooking the river, the city lights flickering on the water's surface, Leo broke the silence. "Amelia," he began, his voice steady but soft, "I don't know where this is heading, but I do know that meeting you changed something in me. I don't want to pretend it's casual anymore." Amelia's heart raced, fear and hope intertwining like the ripples on the river. She looked at Leo, his eyes reflecting sincerity and a vulnerability that mirrored her own. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice barely more than a whisper. "But I don't want to lose you." Leo reached for her hand, his touch warm and grounding. "We don't have to have all the answers. Let's just figure it out together." With those simple words, the walls around Amelia's heart began to crumble. She realized that love, like rain, couldn't be controlled or predicted. It just happened, often when least expected. Seasons changed, and so did they. Their love grew not from grand gestures, but from quiet moments, a shared glance, a gentle touch, a whispered, "I missed you." They built routines that felt like rituals: Sunday morning coffee runs, late-night walks under the city's glowing lights, spontaneous adventures sparked by a single word or glance. One particularly rainy afternoon, they found themselves back at the bus stop where it all began. The same rhythmic patter of rain against glass, the same soft glow of streetlights reflected in puddles. But this time, their hands were intertwined, their hearts no longer guarded. Leo smiled, pulling something from his pocket, a small, weathered postcard with an image of a rainy city street. "I found this in a shop last week," he said, handing it to Amelia. On the back, in his neat handwriting, were the words, "Will you marry me?" Tears welled in Amelia's eyes, mixing with raindrops on her cheeks. She laughed softly, the sound blending with the rain. "Yes," she whispered, her heart overflowing. Their wedding was simple, intimate, held in a small garden under strings of lights. Rain fell softly that day too, as if blessing their union. They danced barefoot on wet grass, laughter echoing through the drizzle. Years later, as they sat together on their apartment balcony, an old, familiar rain began to fall. Amelia leaned her head on Leo's shoulder, watching the city lights shimmer through the droplets. "Do you ever think about that night we met?" she asked softly. Leo smiled, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "Every time it rains." And as the rain whispered against the glass, they sat in comfortable silence, hearts forever bound by the memory of a chance encounter on a rainy evening.